City building and grand strategy, two genres that don't normally mix, but today the developers of Kaiserpunk are gonna prove that they can pull it off. Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and today we're gonna be taking a look at a demo for Kaiserpunk. Now this demo is already available to the public. It's going to be running through the Steam Next Fest, though the developers did decide to get ahead of the game and they released their demo on June 3rd. A little bit cheeky if you ask me. It's like releasing Christmas decorations on Halloween. Works for me. Now this video is sponsored by the developer and publisher Overseer Games, and of course a very big thank you to them for that. If you guys would like to learn more about Kaiserpunk, there will be a link in the description down below. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and start up a new game. Now, in this demo, there's only going to be one predefined map available for play, and it is a tutorial map that will be holding our hands a bit and kind of guiding us through a lot of the features of the game. Now, before we get started, I should say this is an early access type of a demo. Very likely some features are going to be either adjusted or rebalanced, maybe fixed if we run into some bugs. That all is entirely possible, but I'm hoping this is going to give us a really good idea of the longevity of this game. Let's begin by first stating my name is Pravus. We can choose a heritage for some sort of a special benefit. I guess I'll just go ahead and take, let's say, Scientific Renaissance for more science. That sounds great. And our city will be called Territorial. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what the theme of this game is going to be and why it's called Kaiserpunk. Well, imagine an alternate world where World War I never really ended because I guess the diplomats of Versailles got assassinated or something like that. So the world has been at war for a very, very long time. Civilizations are falling into ruin. And we are going to be playing as one weary battalion that is returning home from war to find that their city is in complete disarray and shambles. We will rebuild better than before and create our own new city-state in this world. So welcome to our city. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is start clearing out this town center and salvaging the ruins. We can do this by advancing the tutorial itself. This little green question mark right here is what's going to start the events that actually move the tutorial forward. So we're going to have to click on this whenever it pops up. Work, you plebeians! Build my city! Or at least clear out all the junk. Gosh, what a mess. Should have called this Kaiser junk. That would have made sense too. As a result of clearing out this village, we do get some resources. Plywood, bricks, wood, vegetables, bread, all important stuff. Now, one thing I want to point out right off the bat, there are a few different resources we'll be working with. You can see up here we've got things like electricity, water, plywood, bricks, and so on. But if I click this drop down right here, you're going to see there are a lot more resources in this game, all intricately woven together for various different production chains, some of which start getting kind of complicated. We got heavy tanks, electrical parts, jewelry. Is that sushi? Sure enough it is. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to do in this game. There's going to be a ton of production we'll have to manage, and that is exciting. Anyway, now that we have our town center and a lot of the town cleared out, we need to get some housing set up for our people. Now, what I want to point out in the top left is there are actually 4 different classes of citizens. We have laborers, manufacturers, technicians, and specialists. We're going to start with the basic laborers. That should do most of our early game work. And for that, we need some basic laborer houses. So we'll go ahead and place some of these over here. Now, we need to leave a tiny little bit of space because you do need to have roads for everything connected to your town center. So 2 houses like this should be fine. We're instantly going to be given a few laborers to work some jobs, but in the long term, most of the time, you're going to be relying on immigration. And the more attractive your city is, the more immigration is going to occur, and that's how you'll start building up your population. So, as I said before, we need to get everything connected with a dirt road. We'll just go ahead and do that. Boom. Next, we need to get ourselves some food. Farming will do the job, and there's a bunch of different building options down over here. We go ahead and click on things like agriculture. We'll be able to see that we can place down some vegetable farms. Now, this is going to cost me not only some workers as well as some plywood to build up, but also some cash. We're going to need this for a lot of stuff. This is going to pay the upkeep for buildings and just actually let me place down buildings in the first place. We'll get taxes simply by, having people in the town. We can also conduct trade, etc. We need as much money as possible. So let's go ahead and place a farm. I'm going to place it kind of far away just so we have plenty of room to build up more of our city. Now, simply placing down the farm is not going to be enough. You see, this thing is also going to need a depot, a place to drop off resources to then be used throughout the city. So if you go back to our transport buildings next to the roads, you'll see we have these logistical depots, and these do kind of have a working radius around them. One thing I'd love to see improved, just from my experience with this demo, is a more obvious radius, so I know exactly how to get the most benefit out of all of these buildings, but you can kind of see the highlight just as I move it around. I'm going to place it relatively close to the farm, and then any other buildings that could use these farming goods will be able to just pull from the depot, and that will keep things going. Now, depots should automatically get some workers who will be transporting goods back and forth, and you can actually see, if I click on this, a little green line representing where goods will be picked up and dropped off over here. Very simple and a short path right now, but it's going to get more complicated as we start placing down more production chain buildings. Next, we need to start thinking about how we're going to get more building materials. Of course, I do need to get more plywood. For that, we'll go down to utilities over here, and you can see there's a lot of buildings I don't have access to yet. I need to get myself this forester to start producing some wood, and I can place this close to this depot if I want. That's not a bad idea. And then maybe we'll place a lumber yard over here, again, close to the depot, but it doesn't have to be too close. Now, because I've placed down enough of these buildings, we've actually reached the next development threshold. The way that this is going to work in your development, if I hit the U key, we can actually see here that there are a number of different types of buildings out there, and the more you place of a particular category, the more experienced you are in that technology category. So you start unlocking new types of buildings. So we've already got things like our vegetable and wheat farms and so on, but we'll be able to start unlocking things like cotton fields, right? And different kinds of storage and mechanized farming. And then we can start getting flour mills and bakeries, and it starts getting more and more complex. And if I click over here on the left, you can see all the different categories we have to work with. So it's not enough to just sit around and start passively generating some sort of science points. Instead, you actively have to be building out all the different branches of your economy if you want to take full advantage of them. Now let's go ahead and start working on some more refined materials. I want to get myself one of these grain fields, so one right over here should be fine. Lots of farming close together. Then we need to get ourselves a flour mill, which should be in range of our depot, and we'll also place down one of these bakeries. Again, all close together. Now, one good thing about a lot of these production chains, if the immediate building that they need to go deliver their goods to is close by, they can bypass the depot. There still needs to be a depot nearby, but the farm could send things directly over to the flour mill, directly over to the bakery. So it's still worth keeping things relatively close together just to reduce travel time. Oh, and once again, I'm out of laborers. All right, let's rely on immigration. I'm going to place down some more of these laborer houses like so, and let this start passively building up a little bit. You can see immigration interest is currently at 3, whatever 3 means exactly. I don't know that metric, but it means that we could probably make it more. So, yeah, this is going to start going up. The happier your people are, the more immigration interest there will be. Speaking of happiness, if you actually take a look over here, you can see morale. And right now, it's not looking good, and in this tutorial, it's actually going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better. Their needs have to be met, and that's going to be basic things like shelter and food, but also they want luxuries, health, safety, education. I'm not providing any of those, so my morale is going to be dropping a lot, and the beatings will begin until morale improves. Now, what do we have here, Arthur Mitchell? Lookouts reporting a large group is on the way, probably buddies of the previous inhabitants. All right, we did kind of kick out some bandits in this area when we moved here. Let's send someone to negotiate, but keep an armed detail nearby and see what's going to happen. Oh, cool, they've got these little World War I tank thingies. Those look kind of nice. And it's getting a little bit heated. Oh, good, and now they're going to come and shoot my people. Okay, this means war. And now they're bombarding my town center. Yeah, they had a tank on the ridge. Oh, they blew up my... You know what? I liked that steeple. All right. Well, we were able to chase them off, but the game is warning me that we are probably going to get attacked again in the near-ish future, and that's why we need to start training up some military units, because don't forget, this isn't just a city builder. It's a hybrid with grand strategy, and that means conquest. First things first, so let's go over here where another one of these little question marks has appeared. Oh, look, trenches. Nice. And let's find out what's going on in this ruined factory. We're going to find a whole bunch of handguns and some ammunition in here. That actually means we can go ahead and start doing some salvage operations. Some damaged depots and stuff over here. Sure, we'll send a few laborers over here. Gradually clear this out, get a few extra materials. And while the laborers are working on that, I'm going to build my own factory out over in this direction. Again, it can be close to a depot if I want. It could be kind of far away. I'm happy with it being close by, though. That's fine. Now, unfortunately, in order to make a factory work, we need electricity. Now, electricity can be generated through your utilities. Right now, I haven't got enough development in order to unlock things like windmills for some free power. And then even when I get that, I'm going to need to place down some basic distribution substations for our power, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. For now, the factory is placed down, and we also want to get ourselves a military base, where we'll be able to start creating some battalions of new units. If I click over here on the military base, we can see that there are about 8 units that can store themselves in a military base. Right now we have 1 defensive militia. I need to go ahead and train up 3 additional militias like so. You can see that they have health and also damage versus land, naval, and aerial units. Because yes, all 3 of those are going to come into play. Now, training up your units does take a little bit of time, so we're going to go ahead and speed up the game while this works. And in the meantime, place down more lumber yards and just kind of keep things moving along. I am a little out of manufacturers, but I can't place down any more housing for them until I get some more development levels, so that's fine. If, by the way, you decide at some point you don't like the positioning of some of your buildings, there is a move command down here, so you just go ahead and click on this and just kind of relocate if we want to. No big deal. Ah, there's my manufacturer house option. Thank you. Let's go ahead and place a few of these down. Now we just reached a whole bunch of different development thresholds. Okay, so now we're going to start seeing some new buildings coming in. So I should have access to paper mills and cellulose factories, different mines, smelters, and so on. There's the windmill I was looking for. Could place one of these down over here, then we'll place down one of these power substations. All this needs to be connected by roads, by the way. That's going to be one challenge for building things out. And the power substations, as far as I can tell, don't have a very large radius. So I feel like they need to be built almost right next to any of these power drawing buildings. So always leave yourself a little bit of space to get some of these placed down nearby. Anyway, now the factory is up and running, we can start using up some vegetables and some bread in order to make some food rations, which I'm going to need to sustain my military units. Which are still training, by the way. Like I said, it does take a little while. Maybe I'd like to place down a school or something, too. I could see that being good for my people, right? This does have a radius, and it does require power, unfortunately. Well, let's try placing it right around over here so we get full value out of it. Now, let's see. Yeah, no power... Well, wait, hang on. Okay, apparently this power substation actually can reach a fair bit further than I thought. Are people delivering power? Is that what these green lines are supposed to actually mean over here? That might be how it works. So maybe it's kind of like a depot, and as long as it's within some sort of a walking range, it's fine. That's not what I expected, but okay, I can kind of work with that. Good, so that means I shouldn't need to place down a power substation literally next to this thing. Okay, we could also place down a fire station, and I am going to do that because I want to make sure that my people feel a little bit happier about their safety. If we look at our morale right now, it's kind of atrocious. I'm not trying to make you all so miserable, that's just a happy accident. Alright, by the way, let's take a look at our depot here, and you can see, yeah, all these different lines representing all these different travel logistical paths. Looks like it actually is a very long path to get to the military. I'm assuming that green means that things are relatively easily to flow, and that red is just like a bit of a long trip. So maybe more depots down over here at some point would make some sense, I don't know. Anyway, we have our 4 militias. I recommend that we go ahead and deploy, and this opens up the world map, something we haven't seen as of yet. So right over here, we can see that Praetoria is set up in Central Europe. We're going to need to start exploring and looking for other different kinds of resources. Which is good timing, because it looks like somebody's biplane is flying around over our city. Why exactly we shot it down unprovoked, I don't know, but there we go. Oh, right into the depot. Well, that can't be good for me. So, next big goal. We need to start our weapons production. We also need to start tracking down the enemy air force in neighboring regions. I want to find out where that plane came from, so we can punish them properly. So if we just go ahead and jump out over here, now we can see our army, and there's a lot of different locations we can go to. I believe the game is going to tell me to go to Carpathia over here, so I'm going to select this region, and what we'll be able to see is we're going to enter into combat. So the way that this is going to work is it's going to take several attempts. We have a certain amount of strength and health for our army, and some enemy militia are currently set up in Carpathia. They also have some health and some attack value. So I'll be able to attack, but I won't be able to take down this region immediately. If I advance a battle phase, right, you can see they're going to shoot at me, I'm going to shoot at them, their health goes down. We're technically defeated in the sense that we didn't conquer the region, but that's completely fine. If we do this a couple more times, I should be able to take over the region without any losses. If we zoom out, though, you can start imagining how the world is going to be broken up into a whole bunch of different zones. And each of these zones is going to have different production benefits for our city-state, and what we'll do do is start training up massive armies and go on a conquering spree like a giant game of Risk. That's kind of what we're doing here. But it does take several hours in between every attack. So, heading back to our main village, I say we go ahead and start getting ourselves a few resources. I need to get stuff like an iron mine and a coal mine together so I can start producing weapons. So we can see now that the depot is sending some trucks all the way out over here. We can pick up some of this iron ore. I'm going to have my coal. And you all know that means that I'm going to need to get myself a smelter. This does take some power, so I want to keep it somewhat close to my power distribution. You know what? Right next to the manufacturer's house is probably fine. I'm sure that's not going to make anyone sick or anything. And let's not forget to continue attacking Carpathia every few hours. Again, take some damage, who cares? One more round and we should be able to take it. Anyway, over at our smelter, what are we making right now? We are making steel, okay. So if I go to our factory, we could actually change what we manufacture. I could start making some handguns using steel and a bit of lumber. Yeah, that is an option for us. So if I wanted to get myself maybe some more lumber yards set to getting lumber, we could start actually manufacturing weapons, though I'll probably need some foresters as well. I say probably, because I actually haven't taken a look at my statistics yet. Let's go ahead and actually pull this up over here. So stock overview is a good example. Like I said, there are a lot of different resources in this game that have to get managed, or at the very least, a lot of different military equipments as well. Let's go to things like produced. It's a good way of sorting things out, and we can see our balance. So right now, I'm actually manufacturing a surplus of literally everything. Then we can compare that with things that we're actively using, and yeah, I'm still in the positive. But I'm not manufacturing a lot of excess wood. I'll probably need at least one more forester in order to start reliably making some lumber. Also, we should take a look at our research and development because I feel like I'm making a lot of progress over here. Yeah, sure enough. Okay, good. So we're getting a few things. Easy enough to see if you go down to our building menus. Lawns, lamps, and stuff. Sure, lots of decorations. That's all great. Water pumps and towers are probably going to be important at some point. Printing press, brewery. I am guessing that that is going to give me some sort of luxuries and stuff. Yeah, that all seems good too. And what is this? A vehicle factory to make tanks. Yes, please. But more importantly, let's just go ahead and grab this region. Boom, mine. Now, we have this region. Turns out that the air base for our enemy is not here. Okay, that's fine. But we can't leave this area unguarded. We can send some more militia garrisons. Of course, obviously maintaining your troops is kind of expensive. And if I were to actually look at this region, we'll be able to see what kind of terrain we're working with, what kind of units are going to work well over here. We can also see some information about its upkeep requirements, immigration, what resources it produces. In this case, some meat, some crude oil, and some silk cloth. And all of this is automatically going to start getting sent back to our city-state. The more territory we control, the more resources are going to be sent here. But you have to maintain its stability. If stability goes down, we're going to start getting less resources, eventually nothing. So I want to go ahead and garrison at least a couple of militia. It's more expensive, but it's worth it. We could also build some upgrades over here, the cost of a lot of building materials and some cash. So you can see we can have outposts, propaganda bureaus, factory complexes, tax offices, and so on. Lots of different ways to develop your territory. Aha! Okay, hang on. The next stage of the tutorial. We have found the enemy air base. It's in West Balkans, and it's going to be a little bit too difficult for us to take on without some artillery units. Yeah, we're going to need to get ourselves some better stuff. Okay, what if I went to a place like, you know, Western or Eastern Europe or something? Right, would this be a thing? Well, they do have some militia here. Okay, we can go ahead and take this one. It'll take a few rounds, but we should be able to grab some more territory. Still, definitely want to find a way to get myself some additional weapons. Let's go ahead and place down one of these vehicle factories nearby and find out what it takes to make artillery. Okay, so we have field guns, pounder guns, field howitzers, and heavy artillery. Also infantry tanks, light tanks, medium tank, heavy, and so on. Okay. Well, I think the field guns are going to be the best for me, and that only needs steel. Nice and cheap. Okay, I can produce this. Because what I can do is go over to the military base, and right over here we can see that we are able to train up some field guns, but that's going to take some food rations and artillery shells in order to maintain them. Plus, 30 field guns in order to build them up. Whee! It's going to take a while. I've got 4 field guns in total right now out of the 30 I need. Okay, well, eventually this is going to work. Oh, and we've unlocked some additional development for high-rises. Okay. So if I'm able to start producing plenty of bricks and some of the plywood, we can start getting a much higher density force for all of our buildings. We're talking 60 instead of 20 laborers. That would be great, but I need to be producing bricks. I think we did unlock that, though. If I go to, what is it, utilities? There we go. Clay pits, brickworks, and so on. So yeah, in order to even get all the materials I need to start taking advantage of all the high-level buildings I'm starting to unlock, you have to be building out multiple aspects of your economy. I like that. It's a different take on the development that I'm used to in a lot of these kinds of games. It usually is broken down to something as simple as science points, then you just spend it on something arbitrary. But this actually means I need to just go ahead and overinvest and build in a lot of different areas, and it kind of starts building up naturally. I like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and start building up our own artillery shells. What do I need? Cellulose, as well as brass. Uh-huh. Okay, actually, what is it going to take for me to make brass? Well, the smelter says I need some copper and zinc. Okay, so in order to get artillery, I actually need a lot of different things then. We can do that, but I'm going to need a huge population as well. So we need to expand the city rather dramatically. Oh, and of course, Eastern Europe is now going to be mine. Perfect, okay. I don't know how you actually heal our units up. I'm guessing we need to send them back to, let's say, Central Europe and let them start healing up in Praetoria. That might be the way to go. What do we get over here in Eastern Europe, by the way? We are going to get some cotton, some clay, and some cellulose. Okay. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay. Hang on. I think I just figured out how you're supposed to heal things. So if I send my units either back home or maybe out in the field, I can say that I want them to reinforce. It looks like I can only reinforce one at a time, and it takes some time, but it costs me some manpower as well as some guns in order to do this. Right. Okay. Now, if you're wondering about manpower, this is derived directly from your unemployed workers. So the more laborers you have in particular, it seems, the more manpower you're going to have, right? I mean, that's true for everyone, but, like, why would I send the specialists into war? Send the grunts. Now, I have constructed my first building that requires some water. Thought it might be a good idea to place down a paper mill, start working toward getting some newspapers, make my people a little bit happier. But for water, we're going to have to go over here to, I think it's utilities. We need to get ourselves a water pump located right over here on a water source, which is fine. And then we'll need some water towers, which also distributes to all nearby buildings that require it. So, kind of like the power distribution, I need to have it somewhere, well, let's say over here. And taking leftover cellulose, we'll make paper. Okay. And then I'll apply those at a printing press. Maybe I can start some propaganda efforts. I won't even feel bad about it. Good lord, what else am I unlocking here and not even noticing? We've got shipyards to produce corvettes, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and so on. We also have naval bases. Yeah, the creation of a naval fleet. So if I were to place this along a coast, we could start setting up a battle fleet, huh? Go and take on Scandinavia? Well, that could be kind of fun. I'll worry about that another time, though. We still haven't conquered the West Balkans because I'm trying to get enough guns to actually reinforce all my troops. Oh, and finally, the ability to actually use a clinic. Okay, we can start actually meeting some other needs. So very soon, I'll have luxury and health taken care of for laborers. So now that I have these artillery units, let's go ahead and try to take on the West Balkans this way. So we have a lot more firepower behind us this time. I imagine we should be able to take this down in... Let's see, we get 2 shots off this time around. Okay. I took basically no damage because we're fighting at a long range. So my artillery are just kind of sitting back and going boom, boom. Okay, yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and conquer the Western Balkans. I think I just noticed something, by the way. Hold on. Yeah, we've got some purple colors over here. Well, hello. Certainly looks like somebody is sniffing around and creating a faction of their own. Well, knowing that's the case, I should probably go ahead and get some more garrisons. This does increase costs, but it's worth it to make sure I don't get attacked. And they've actually got a lot of defenses, but stability down here is truly atrocious. Huh. Kind of wonder if it's possible to just go ahead and start raining death upon these guys. We'll just go ahead and consolidate Western Europe instead first, though. That's fine. You know what I want to find? Oil. There's got to be oil somewhere, because I need to start producing rubber if I want to get some really advanced stuff. I'm talking making proper rifles and stuff, right? You know, that's going to be good for me. What is this over here? A damaged oil pump. Well, we haven't reached some of these areas yet, so I'm going to assume we can't do anything here at the moment. But yeah, there is a fair bit of oil over here. Let's see how quickly we can conquer things like Italy. Oh, they got a lot of defenses over here. Yeah, we took a fair bit of damage there. Still, shouldn't be too bad. We took out a bunch of garrisons. What are we even producing in the West Balkans? We get some grain, some zinc, and some glass. Okay, all seems good. And I hadn't even noticed this, but okay. Apparently our general has gotten enough experience that he gets a trait. We have promotions! Hold on, what does this mean? So you can get Mountain Fighter to be a little bit better. The more levels we have, the better we are at fighting in mountains. We have Deserts, Arctic Fox, Forest Ranger, Urban Specialist, Rural, and Field Commander. Open fields and stuff. So I guess it does depend a bit on what kind of terrain I think I'll be fighting in. We've got plains, we've got urban, and I can't see most of the other stuff. Forests in Scandinavia, plains over here, rural over here. So we got a mix of a lot of different things, apparently. Well, we could try to set up for things like the plains over here and actually try fighting over, let's say, Russia. That could be a thing. Maybe I'd rather take over the Balkans, though. I don't know. I feel like rural isn't too bad. We're going to go ahead and take rural as a specialist bonus. I swear to God, by the way, that rural is like the hardest word to say in the English language. Well, not the hardest. There are probably harder, but it's not easy, all right? Rural. Rural. It's not, I don't know. It's one of those things where if you talk too fast, it's very easy to just go brr instead of saying the actual word, you know what I mean? Anyway, that has nothing to do with the game. It's just something I've always found is a little bit of a weird quirk in the English language. I hate that word. I really do. And there's Italy for me. Okay. So we'll go ahead and conquer that region. Looks like I get some algae? Oh. Okay. Thanks, Italians. I really appreciate your pond scum. I'm not producing enough coal, unfortunately. But as far as I know, there's not a way to really boost up production further. I need to have actual coal deposits. And I've kind of already exploited this as much as possible. So maybe there's more coal around somewhere, or maybe sometime soon I'll find a way to upgrade my buildings and get more productivity out of them. That would feel pretty good. And we now have the ability to actually get some aircraft. Okay, forget ships and stuff for a minute. I want to go ahead and actually start getting some aircraft up and running. I don't know if I have the materials for it, but it sounds like fun. We'll try placing them more often this direction. Sure, why not? So if I want to get myself some basic recon biplanes, I need cloth and I need lumber. Well, dang it. I don't have the ability to get any cloth at the moment, so this doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Not to mention, I need technicians, but I believe, kind of like the cotton, it seems like technician houses are currently locked down. I have the development for it, but I can't actually place them. Not quite yet. So I'm guessing that is something that is going to be getting unlocked later on, either because the tutorial needs to progress a bit more and I've just been too slow, or because that is an update that is coming very soon. Anyway, I've conquered France, because it just seemed like the thing to do. There we go. And then there could be Iberia for a bit more. Aluminum! Hello? I need aluminum in order to get good aircraft, high-quality aircraft, yes. Fish, lead, electrical parts? Those are very advanced. Wow, Western Europe just gives you all sorts of goodies. That's amazing. What about the British Isles? Fruit, aluminum again, and flour. Okay, well, by conquering Iberia and the British Isles, I'd probably be able to start moving on to some much more advanced aircraft. Still don't have the technicians, but I want to see what we can get. Let's see, fighter triplanes are steel and lumber. I've got that. Rubber, nope, see, I don't have that yet. And then plastics, really, okay. Where's aluminum, though? Aluminum is, the heavy fighters need the aluminum. Okay, very advanced then, very advanced indeed. Yeah, I'd probably want to move on directly to things like fighter triplanes if I can. You know, assuming I can actually boost up my iron and steel production in some way, but for that I need a lot more coal. What I really would benefit from at this point are trading partners. And I know at some point trade is going to be a thing, but alas, if I go to transportation, yeah, there's the market. I have the development, but this is another building I'm not able to place to get some trade routes. So that's going to have to get unlocked as well. Eventually, trade ports for overseas trade for even better upgrades. Yeah, that could be kind of good. But we could trade with merchants and smugglers. So again, I don't know if that's going to get revealed at some point here in the future, or if that's not in the demo as of yet. But if there are going to be some traveling merchants wandering around, you better believe I'd like to get all their goodies. Oh, hello. Another player already took the British Isles. Well, how incredibly rude. Maybe I wait for them to leave, and then we'll just go take it. You came across Iceland? Alright, so the Canadians apparently are coming back around and grabbing the British Isles. No. Can't let that stand. So you can kind of see, though, it's a very interesting blend here, right? I mean, on one hand, yeah, we got the city builder, and I'm going through kind of the classic motions you'd expect. I'm building up my population, I'm building up all these different production chains, I'm meeting all sorts of needs. Or at least trying to. For some reason, people really insist that they do not have enough newspapers or beer to go around. They really consume this quickly. But either way, so that's kind of getting around here. But then the ultimate goal is to turn this into kind of a war factory town so that you're able to produce enough military units to go on a giant conquest spree. Very unusual, but it kind of works. But I do think for the moment this is a good place to end this video. I will probably come back for another video as this demo continues to progress during the Steam Next Fest, especially if I can find another way of unlocking some additional features. But worse come to worse, it'd be kind of fun to build up a whole bunch of ships, see if I can find a way to get some planes, and just go on a giant conquest spree. I mean, heck, it may be just a demo, but if I can conquer, like, all of Eurasia or something, I'd feel pretty good about that. So yeah, definitely the kind of game that you'll want to keep your eye on, especially if you're intrigued, like me, with the idea of blending grand strategy with city builders. A very unusual hybrid, but I like the idea of taking over the world with one glorious city at the center of it all. A logistical powerhouse that's altering human history. That could be great. Once again, a very big thank you to the developer for sponsoring today's video. If you guys would like to learn more about the game or maybe give the demo a shot for yourself, there will be a link in the description down below. And remember, that demo is going to be available through the Steam Next Fest, which is ending on June 17, so don't miss it. In the meantime, please be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I, as always, will see you guys next time.